In the previous video to this, I showed you how to make your own realistic park template. And now in this series, I'm going to turn this map into my very own theme park. And you can too. There's starter maps on the workshop now, and details of how to find it are in the description. And one more thing, if you enjoyed this video then please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year and it would be awesome if you could help me get there. Now let's get this series started. Welcome to the beginning of my brand new park series, Moorview Meadow. If you haven't seen already, you can watch a full tutorial video where I show you how you can create your own starter template map, like this. And over the course of this series, I'm going to be turning this starter template map that I've made into a theme park. And I am so excited to do this. This park has been in the back of my mind, planning at least, for probably well over a year now. And the past 6 months I've been sort of detailing out exactly what I want to do with it episode by episode. And it's going to be a great project. I'm so excited to get started. There's probably going to be around maybe 20 episodes. I don't want to confirm that too early on, but there's a lot I want to do with this. But getting into it, the year is 1970. We have just acquired Moorview Rail Yard and the surrounding farmland. And it is now my job to turn this into a theme park called Moorview Meadow, as you can see on the sign just there, which is the name of this park. The sort of inspiration for this, I guess, like I mentioned in the previous video, is mostly Alton Towers, sort of turning a existing thing, I guess, like Alton Towers has the towers. I will be turning this rail yard and the farmyard around it into a theme park. There's going to be an element of preserving certain parts of it, like Alton Towers had to do as well, but obviously I want to preserve certain parts of this, especially like certain design features. I'm thinking at the moment most of these warehouses will be demolished because they're sort of cheaply built, apart from the rail yard building on the bottom left there, which will stay. This entrance area will be this area I guess will be transformed into the entrance experience into this park, but you have to remember that this is 1970. I don't know the full potential of this park at this point if I was the owner of it. So most of this land isn't going to be expanded into straight away. I want this park to grow naturally over time, which I think should be really interesting, and it'll definitely come up with a lot of different situations. Sort of, you look at Blackpool Pleasure Beach where everything's built on top of each other. There's going to be different parts like that where different parts of the park are developed over different times, and seeing how that reacts with what's going on around it should be a really fascinating project to work around. So obviously this is the entrance, Moorview Meadow. You come underneath the railway bridge here into what will be sort of the car park area. I think you got the Moorview Rail Yard main building off there in the background. That is going to stay, like I mentioned, and then I have all of this land to play with to convert this into a theme park. I best get started. I will get back to you after I've done a little bit of work for the first update from this episode, and then we can truly get this theme park started. I'm very excited for this project. I hope you all are too. It's going to be my most realistic and themed work yet. Very, very excited to get into it. So let's begin. Here we are at update number 1. There's quite a few things that have changed so far in terms of demolition work, but there's also quite a few things I want to sort of maybe talk about and explain to help me decide on certain design elements that I don't know whether to take forward. So here is the Moorview Meadow entrance sign, as you saw in the last update. This has been replicated around the park a little bit more, but this is sort of your entrance experience at the moment. I do expect this to change over time, but for the first year of the park, we're running on quite a limited budget because we don't know whether this is going to work. So the car park here, I've just flattened this out and added gravel and sort of semi-defined where different circulation routes are for the cars. And then I don't expect this car park to be completely full opening day. It's a growing project, so this will have to adapt over time, but there is a certain element of building for the future at this point. So it is a fairly large car park, and then I've put up this new fence around the old Moorview Rail Yard building, which is staying, like I mentioned before. And I imagine this would probably have some protection order against it, maybe an unspoken one at this stage. I don't know whether it would be listed. I added these cars in the car park as well, which I'll put an image on screen now of where I got these from on the workshop. I have recolored them since, but they are really nice to actually have some cars in the car park. For some reason, we don't have cars in this game. Don't know why. Onto the entrance area. There's quite a bit to walk through with this. This main entrance building was sort of inspired by a couple of different things. It's kind of the one at, I think it's Kenobi Lake Park. that this one was mainly inspired by. It sort of evolved into this, which I do really like and maybe plan on reusing, but I did sort of think at this stage they're not going to have enough money to do something this grand in 1970, and especially with the scale of the park at this stage in its life, it definitely wouldn't be something this big. It's basically going to be a glorified farm amusement park at this stage, so I thought I'd go for something a lot more simple, which is actually similar to the entrance building that Knott's Berry Farm uses at the moment. It's not the most detailed thing in the world. It's got like a nice wooden ceiling, some structural beams inside that sort of break through the plaster walls there, nice guttering on the roof, a bit of like capping and wood around the eaves and everything. It's still a bit more detail to add on this. I've got the gates for the entrance as well, and then the Moorview Meadow sign up there. I have also started to plan out a little bit of a rough layout for how I want this entrance area to go. Sort of you'll come in here into like from the car park, a bit of a plaza maybe I'm thinking, and then you've sort of got maybe some like some water feature or landscaping feature in the middle. You've got this maybe a back of house area here that leads onto the entrance building that will run across there. And then inside sort of this area here, which is where your main entrancey stuff, I guess, will happen. Sort of like toilets, shop, restaurant. Down here, I'm thinking 2 major buildings, one of these being another restaurant, I think. Keeping all of the existing trees as well. No trees will be removed in the course of this park, at least not yet anyway. Maybe in like some of the later on years when I add on big coasters like around the 80s, but this sort of the car park is quite good that it's open because of that, and it leads you through there. But yeah, like I think a tree protection order will probably come in at some point, so we'll start using this space as the car park, redevelop this as the actual like main entrance experience, incorporating the Moorview rail yard warehouse, some connection between these two, and then it frees up this area here for some sort of, I don't know, guess this is where the attractions would begin. But for now, this is the park's entrance. I do need to sort of flesh this out a little bit more and sort of expand it down here, work out how that's going to work in this area, like level change wise as well, because there's a fair bit of terrain going on in this park, which is good. It's always good to design around terrain and make sure creation's far more realistic. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this is going to go. There's a lot of stuff to do early on, but getting this to a stage where it's like in its first early years of being an amusement park before it transitions into a theme park is pretty exciting. Anyway, on to update 2. Update number 2 has a lot of stuff going on. This is probably the biggest change you'll have seen so far. I say that, we're only a few updates in, but it's felt like a lot of work, which has been good because so much has happened sort of since the last update. Obviously there's a lot more people here now. The park isn't open yet. I do plan on adding guests into the park at the end of it, but we have an entrance. This is sort of what it's looking like at the moment. Don't take any of this as final, there's still a lot more to do, but I wanted to try and keep it relatively low budget. It's just sort of, I don't even know if it's like actual tarmac, it's probably just compacted gravel. Lots of nice landscaping, just a duplicate of the same entrance building. They can get around it cheaper if they build just 2 of the same rather than 2 different ones. So obviously the entrance building is now sort of nested in place. A lot more landscaping around it as well, and as you can see we have our first attractions as we move into the park. So down here we have a large seating area. That building at the back will be a food outlet, just sort of screening the view between this area and the Moorview rail yard. And this is our first attraction you will come to, the Grand Carousel. This is sort of an attraction that I think quite a lot of parks would have in the very early days, and it will sort of become like a nostalgic attraction for most people, so it will probably be passed around the park and stay in the park for a long time. As for this area, it's still remaining screened off. I think at this stage the park A, doesn't really know what to do with that area, and B, doesn't have enough money to combat the size of those buildings, so they will just stay as sort of like storage at the moment. And you get some really nice views across here, and I don't know whether you've noticed, there is a ride down there. There is a train ride. We'll get to that in a bit, but yeah, pretty excited about that. Over here we have, oh, there we go, the Moorview Meadow sign with the huge Ferris wheel in the background. That Ferris wheel is placed there for a very specific reason, as will probably be revealed in the next episode. Something that will impact the park going forward. I might give you a little bit of a tease of what I mean. You can just see it poking above the trees. I will leave that there. Oh yeah, and also these houses can see it too. Anyway, yeah, so that's there for a pretty specific reason. The ride behind it, I don't think is going to stay. I was just sort of testing out massing of different areas, because it's going to come down from the main entrance plaza into this area, and this is sort of the main area that's going to be developed first, along with this little train ride. I don't really know why that one's on like half on the transfer track. I'll sort that, but yeah, I'm going to put a train ride around the park. I did opt for the newer style smaller train ride as opposed to the massive train ride that we have in Planet Coaster 1 that has transitioned to Planet Coaster 2, where like the big like steam locomotive ones. I wanted to go for a smaller one. Like I said, this is a family park, so they wouldn't have the big budget for that, and because it's only in its early days, this park would have a small ride like this. And this ride is very reminiscent of a lot of parks in the UK especially that started off with rides like this. Even Alton Towers used to have a little train ride. It doesn't anymore. So I think one of the stations is where the Forbidden Valley Skyride station is today. The train ride in this park is going to have like a really scenic journey around the sort of, I think this like was a path that the tractors would have used and like farm vehicles to get between all the fields and like separate them off. So it makes sense to put this on an area of like already semi-hard standing material, like the gravel that's probably already down there. And this top half of the park at the moment will stay sort of like contained, and I don't think you'll be able to go into this field just yet, but that train ride sort of provides a nice little train journey around the surrounding area. Yeah, the park's going well. There's a lot more to do for the next update, but it should look a lot more fleshed out then, so I will see you in a minute. Update number 4. This is the final update before I'd give you a little tour around the park to show you what I've got as the finished product for episode 1, and this will be on the workshop as well after this video, so feel free to check it out on there, add any bits you'd like to. I've added a toilet block just outside the main entrance gates here, because I think, especially if you've made a long journey to this park, the last thing you want to do is queue up to get in before going for a wee. So I thought I'd add that there. You've got this nice area that I mentioned last time. I still need to add food units into this. I don't think any of this has changed. I might have changed the density of the furniture actually, because it was quite a lot. I've added in a queue line for the wheel, as well as a fountain outside it, so that looks really nice. I have actually come up with a little bit of an Easter egg for the name of this wheel. I've called it Wonder Wheel. For those of you that don't know, I had a park series called Wonder World that sort of started out a little bit similarly to this, so that was where that idea came from. Really happy with how that wheel looks. It's very like garish retro colours, which is exactly what I wanted. And then down here we have this staircase and ramp situation that I've got in here. I do have the idea that when this entrance area gets revitalised in the future, that wheelchair, well, the ramp would be made wheelchair accessible, because it currently isn't. But around the 1970s, wheelchair accessible ramps weren't really a thing, which is really bad. So obviously I will do a pass later on of making the park a lot more accessible for wheelchair users, but it just adds to the realism of it, of seeing it improve over time, and I find that fascinating. And I think it'll be a really interesting process to show you all later on as well, how you can make your parks wheelchair accessible. There's a huge restaurant at the back of the park here as well. I can see this restaurant sticking around quite a while, so I did put quite a bit of effort into the building of this. You've got like the slate tiled roof there, the wood under paneling of that roof like against the soffit, nice thick beams everywhere, so like it structurally makes sense. All the nice brickwork inside as well, as you can see the wooden paneling, those interesting lights. So you've got these like two like dining covered area wings, I guess, with like some wood paneling and plasterwork on the walls. And he's put in seating areas and like tables and chairs and stuff in here. And then it transitions outside into sort of a patio space as well, which gives you some great views of the Wonder Wheel and whatever attractions I will add here in the future. I've already got some pretty interesting ideas of different rides that are going to come and go around this area and interact with the existing landscape around it. I've added some transfer like maintenance areas for the train ride behind, put in a bit of a retaining wall to hold back the land for this new restaurant that I've added. I've moved this ride over here just as a placeholder for now, because like you saw on the last update, it was over there. Don't think it's going to stay. I think it's a bit too big and probably too many attractions to start off with for the first year. Like if you think about how Lightwater Valley started in the UK, that didn't really have many rides in its first few years. It was more sort of like a wildlife gardens park, and it had like a big restaurant that actually opened out of park hours as well, which is pretty cool. So could be doing stuff like that. But yeah, I'll add the final few bits now, make it look a little bit more pretty, and then give you the final finished product for the end of episode 1. The year is 1970 and Moorview Meadow has opened. The nearby village of Moorview is never going to be the same as this park grows and grows over time to become one of the UK's largest theme parks. I am so excited to develop this project. As you can see, the car park has cars in it, which means guests are in the park and enjoying the rides so far. It's really exciting. It's just nice getting to a point where you've done a bit of work on a project and you can see it being like lived in, and you see people around the park and stuff. You can get your tickets from here, obviously very cheap prices because it is 1970, and then onto the park entrance you can just see over there. I'm really happy with this. I've changed a few of the planters around as well, so they're not like walled in. They are like rock work, and obviously it is the grand opening of Moorview Meadow, so there's that huge sign there. Really happy with the way that this entrance looks. Like I mentioned earlier, I just wanted a nice simple entrance and just something that didn't really take away from this view as soon as you walked in as well. This feels very classic British like amusement park. I'd say it probably feels a bit more like higher quality than the usual ones, I guess. It's still in a very good condition. It hasn't really hit that sort of tacky phase yet. I'd imagine that'll probably come more in the later 70s and 80s when that approaches, but at this stage the park is in a very good condition. We've got the carousel there, which does have its own audio, so when that's testing we'll be able to hear that later on. And then round here you've got all the seating for the restaurant as well, this food unit over here. And these are the new planters that I just mentioned as well. I just think they look a lot more like casual and more informal, which is what I was wanting. I didn't really want this to be like the most brand new flashy amusement park, although it does sort of seem that way. Like the quality of finish is probably a bit higher than most British amusement parks. But yeah, you can see the train ride going around there and all this space that we have, along with a big flattened out piece of land. I wonder if something might be getting built there in the next episode. You'll have to see. Yeah, there's a lot of potential for this park, as I mentioned, and like I said, quite a lot of it is already planned out, so stuff is already happening behind the scenes for the new attractions in the coming years. This is sort of the main ride you will see when you come in, along with the Ferris wheels. There's the grand carousel, you can hear the nice soundtrack going around. Like I mentioned earlier, I think this would probably be one of the rides that would get moved around the park in the future as stuff changes and evolves. But it's like sort of one of those staple rides that will pretty much always stay in the park, I imagine. At least in some form, whether it gets replaced or like rethemed or something. There's this nice little fountain in the middle. That flower does light up as well. I just thought it was a nice little feature to add. All of the park does have night lighting. I'll show you it at a later stage once it's a bit more developed. But here is the Wonder Wheel, which is, I suppose, the first attraction you will see, even from outside the park, which might be a problem later on. But we'll go for a ride on the Wonder Wheel and get some views across the park. You get some beautiful views up here across not only just the park but around the surrounding scenery as well, because this park is set in such a nice location with all the rolling hills and like huge trees all around it. It's just nice to look out all around it, and it takes you up really high to get a great view over the area. And what's really cool as well is you'll be able to get to ride this ride in the future, and this view will have changed so much with all the new attractions that will be added over time. So it'll be really cool in that way, looking back at this footage to see how much it's all changed. And here we are back on the ground looking up at that gigantic Ferris wheel. That must have cost the park a lot of money, but when your park is first starting out you need those few standout attractions, and I imagine this and the train ride would probably be the two standout rides just to get people in. Over here you've got the ramped access and the stairs that lead you down into sort of the main area of the park, or at least where the main, I think where probably people will spend the majority of the time doing Planet Coaster guests things over there. You have the Moorview, which is the park's main restaurant, which we'll get to in a little bit. Some huge trees. Like I said, all of the trees that are already in the park have been maintained in this episode. Like I said, I don't know whether later on some of these trees might get removed and then that brings in like a tree protection order across the whole area of the park, which obviously brings its own design challenges, and so it'll be really fun to deal with stuff like that in the future. You can see the train ride here, beautiful looking out across the valley. Well, that's that seating area we were at earlier as well up there. Let's see if it can see if the train ride can dispatch and we can catch it coming out the station. It's a beautiful view here as well, isn't it? The graphics in this game are amazing. But yeah, you get just nice views pretty much everywhere, and it helps that the graphics are very good. That's a very big queue for that train ride. Yeah, we'll see if we can catch it dispatching coming out, because I do like the the noise that it makes, and because it's such a cute little train ride, it does look really nice going around as well. There we go, the train is dispatched, and you can see it just coming down here. I really like all the landscaping around it as well. I've tried to keep all the landscaping relatively small to sort of show that it's new, and then over time the new trees that I've put in and the shrubbery and stuff can get bigger. Most of the shrubbery, like the trees you can see there, is all existing, so you can see like the size of it, but along like sort of the areas of the rest of the park, it's all kept quite small, and you can see on that hill there next to Ferris wheel. It's all kept quite like it looks like it's brand new, and then even the trees I've put like a little support on the side of them just to keep them held upright while they're in that sort of baby tree phase. The Meadow Express over there, which we'll get to later, the huge Ferris wheel from here as well. Look at the shadow it's casting. This is the park's play area. I think at this stage in the park, the play area is a very important asset to have, because when rides and stuff are so expensive to get for a new park, and play equipment like this is so easy to get, that would sort of be the main draw for people, I think, at this stage, especially families. Like the parents could sit in the Moorview, which is the park's main restaurant, the kids can go in the play area once they've finished eating. There's a little bit of a menu there as well. Really happy with this building. I did put quite a lot of detail into it, like purposefully, so that it will stick around a while and still look pretty good. You can just see the train ride coming back in there through that little maintenance shed, and then off into the station, which we will hop on the train ride in just a second. But look at these views across here. It's so cool. I really can't wait to I'm excited, I don't think you can tell, to develop this park into a fully fledged theme park. It's going to be a really fun project. We'll have a quick look inside the restaurant first before we go on the train. But yeah, the views across here are really good, and it already feels like quite iconic in a way as well. Like it's got that park iconography to begin with. Both waving at the same time. These little ketchup bottles, I'll put an image on screen now of where I got these from on the workshop. They were perfect just for this little area. And that napkins unit next to it is one that I've made with planks. I think it's like a large book, or like a sign book, just for the napkins. And I also do have these water fountains, which I got off the workshop too, so here's a photo of where those are from. The inside of the restaurant is looking quite nice and minimal. I wanted to keep it sort of simplistic 70s style. They wouldn't go over the top with sort of like a relatively cheap building to just make some covered seating inside. So yeah, you got like lights and wall paneling like I mentioned last time, and then this semi-covered area outside where you can soak up the sun for how rarely it is sunny in the UK, which today is actually lovely. It's 29 degrees at the moment. I am sweating editing this video. But yeah, the main event, the Meadow Express. This is probably the highlight ride for people coming to the park, hence why it has the biggest queue, and definitely a ride I want to keep going for as long as possible in the park. It might end up with situations where the track layout has to change to go like adjust itself to certain rides and stuff as they get put in, or like certain land features and different theming overlays. But yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting to see how this evolves. My main idea with this train when I was designing the layout for it is that it would sort of circle the park's, like the area of immediate plans for attractions sort of thing. So this main field is sort of the area that the park is kind of immediately planning to build stuff in, providing that the opening goes well, which it does. Obviously there wouldn't be a series otherwise. And of course different elements of this ride can be themed up over time, but at the moment we're just using the incredible natural landscape around us, including these humongous trees, just to really set the scenery and the views out from this ride. You can see more of the crazy amount of developable, that's a word, space that this park has for new attractions in the future. The land that this park is set on is absolutely huge, and this field there is only like the main portion of it, I guess, of where the park is planning to develop first, but there's so much potential. And when I mentioned about the layout changing with new attractions as well, it doesn't have to change. I would really like a situation like the Pleasure Beach Express has at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, where it goes underneath coasters and stuff and interacts with Big Dipper, Icon, the big one, stuff like that. Just those interactions that you get are just so cool. And then we climb up that little bit of the hill to get us back into the station. You can just see this next plot of development here that's been pre-flattened out for next episode's attractions. It's going to be an exciting one. I can't wait for you to see what I'm going to design in that space. And there we go, you've experienced all of Moorview Meadow in its 1970s version and what it has to offer. There's a lot going for this park at the moment, but for me it just screams potential with the amount of extra space that we have, the room that the park is already planning to expand on. This, because I think it has the potential to be my favourite series, so even now. Just the amount of ideas that I've got for adding rides into this is going to be so fun. Think about all we've done so far in this episode, like make the entrance more appropriate for the theme park, done a bit more to the car park, and then obviously the whole entrance plaza, the rides. There's so much here already, and this is just the first episode. I did want to try and keep it quite modest. Obviously it would be a bit of a risk to invest into something like this, like a completely new park startup project, but as soon as the park starts to gain a bit of traction, gain a bit of popularity, not just locally but like people travel to come here as well, and then obviously that allows the park to get a bit more money in, expand into more areas than just this first expansion plot here, which will be for the next episode, and evolve this project into a fully fledged theme park. It'll transition from an amusement park into a theme park at some point. That sort of won't happen all at once, it'll be gradually throughout all the different areas. Some areas will get themed up, rethemed and everything, rides will come and go. This landscape is just going to change so much, and like I've mentioned about 400 times in this video, I am mega excited for this project. It's definitely my most realistic project yet, which is exactly what I wanted it to be, because there's just a lot going for it, and there's a lot that just potential wise could happen in this park. Like I said, I've got loads of ideas. None of those are 100%, they're always open to change, and I do quite like that. There's an element of on the spot designing when doing something like this, because it's so volatile in how the environment and the rides are changing. But yeah, I won't talk anymore. Thank you so much for watching this first episode of my new park series, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Delivery for Moorview Meadow. Yeah mate, just leave them there, thanks. Need to do something with these now.